When I was in school, bullying was a huge issue. People were bullied for just about anything, and now looking back, it was a toxic environment. However, this was no excuse for what happened. The guy in this story we'll call Seth, and this happened to me in high school. I'm a 23-year-old male, and at the time I lived in Louisiana. As I mentioned before, bullying was a hot issue at our school, but Seth always seemed to face a large brunt of it. Seth was a nerdy white guy and was often called a school shooter. Now, I know why antagonizing someone like this is wrong, but again, I never bullied him, or anyone for that matter. A few weeks later, leading up to the event, Seth had begun having angrier reactions to his being bullied, yelling and lashing out at his bullies. He would get into such violent and aggressive rants, he turned red in the face, and teachers had to calm him down. Fast forward to the day before this event occurred when Seth was arguing with this guy called DeMarcus. DeMarcus was a popular student and he was an athlete, but to me, he was a jerk. And to Seth, he was the bane of his existence, as DeMarcus always seemed to take the lead in bullying Seth. On this particular day, Seth would retort at one of DeMarcus's insults by calling him the N-word. Now, I know it's messed up, but DeMarcus then proceeded to punch Seth. I broke them up and helped Seth. Seth looked at me with such cold, angry indifference and quietly walked away with one of the teachers. Fast forward to the morning of the incident, I saw one of Seth's band friends acting nervously. I approached her, and she was acting like she saw a ghost. She went on to ask me if I had heard from Seth. According to her, Seth heard about DeMarcus being in-school suspension and having not being expelled. Seth had sent out to various acquaintances and friends a message. The message went like this: Hey, since our teachers and principals seem to value certain students over others and not protect everyone, I'm going to make sure that I take matters into my own hands. After reading this, I noticed Seth also sent me a second message, thanking me for never bullying him, and that if I could skip out on going to school, which would be today. Granted, I didn't have him added on Facebook, so I had to see this on message requests. The girl who was his bandmate was unsure of what to do, as she didn't believe Seth was capable of anything. I, however, urged her to go to the principal. After some convincing, we both went to the principal's office. We showed Miss Collins everything. She acted promptly, and this is why I'm thankful that we said something. At about the time the bell was going to ring to release students to their next class, Seth was seen leaving class headed for the gym. For context, the gym is set adjacent to the band room, and because DeMarcus played basketball, his coach managed to get him a light suspension, as he was still allowed to practice during his would-be gym class hours. As Seth marched there, it was said he had been acting strangely all day, all jittery and on edge. Our school had an officer, though. His name was Officer Jones, who luckily intercepted Seth. Seth reacted angrily, shouting for Officer Johnsons to move and not to stop this. As he cried, it was his version of justice. Details after this are scant, but according to reports, Seth was detained and we went on lockdown. Several squad cars came. I recall they had dogs. It was really a big mess. Seth apparently had a small 9mm that was found on him, with several rounds of ammunition too. Had we not said anything, there's no telling what could have occurred. I just hope Seth got the help he deserved, and it really taught our school a valuable lesson on bullying, one that I doubt anyone will forget. I'm a 24-year-old female, and names have been changed. Back in 2015, I attended a school in Louisiana. The school was in a part of the state called Tangipahoa Parish. Now, before I get into the story, let me give you some context. I had been in my sophomore year, and it was in December when this occurred. We had just gotten a new student everyone was buzzing about, called Vance. Now, Vance was a scrawny, stoner, Caucasian male who kind of put you in mind of Machine Gun Kelly, just without the tattoos and not as attractive. Anyways, a few days leading up to this incident, Vance had been getting into a lot of trouble with teachers and students alike. I recall him being suspended for cursing out teachers, groping female students, and supposedly trying to fight. Now, it was being said some of the crowd that Vance began hanging with were in a gang. Yeah, I know, crazy to be in a gang in high school, but based on the things I've seen at this school, trust me, that was mild. Vance and this other student he became close with, though, who we'll call Marquise, were alleged to be selling drugs on campus. Now, skip to the day of the lockdown. I was with my friends in our history class when all of a sudden the principal stated we were going on to lockdown. She proceeded to give out specific instructions to leave our book sacks in a row at the front of the class, and orderly exit the classroom, and wait to be let back in. I thought to myself just how strange this was when an armed officer escorted us out of our class with a canine unit. The canine unit entered as it began to sniff around our book sacks and our belongings. Outside, I began thinking about what was this all about, when suddenly I heard one of the officer's walkie-talkies say 1032. I didn't know what that meant as officers began to rush us inside and our teacher locked us in and turned off the lights. We then heard officers moving towards the building to the far end of the campus. Now, it was only later we discovered that Vance and Marquise had been arrested. When the lockdown occurred, friends of mine who were in class with both Vance and Marquise stated that they saw both of them acting strangely when the principal came on the speaker. Both of them asked the agriculture teacher if they could be excused, and when he refused, they left the class and went to the bathroom. Now, while inside, it's proposed that they were getting rid of their supplies when the officer approached them. Here's where things get crazy though, as it said Vance pulled out a gun on one of the officers. The officer, having apparently been a pastor, said he didn't want to kill them, and he asked Vance to lower the gun and not ruin his life. Vance complied, and they were both arrested. This event, though, caused my family to transfer me and damaged the reputation of our school, as it attracted loads of media attention. I have no idea what happened to Vance and Marquise, and honestly, I really don't care. As I recall, after the lockdown, I recall a dog had eaten one of my Pop Tarts. It was my favorite flavor, and I'm still low-key pissed about the whole thing to this day. Other students' things were eaten too. So, what were the dogs really there for? To find drugs or eat our snacks? But anyway, that's my story, and thanks for reading it.